Hello. Apologies for the slight delay getting started today. Let me just check the audio is working okay. Retreat, which is part of the reason for me being slow, but there's also a large. Okay. Well, I'm going to wait a couple more minutes just in case anyone's waiting to join, but then we'll get started. So again, if this is your first time tuning in, then the way these sessions work is that we alternate between two different meditations. We're doing the loving kindness, cultivation of loving kindness meditation today, and next week we will go back to the mindfulness of breathing. So I'll say a bit more about the meditation that we're going to be doing in a moment. And we're coming at it from with a particular focus today. So bear with me whilst we just give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll tell you what we're doing. Otherwise, if you want to spend this time setting yourself up, making so that you've got you're in a comfortable position. So we were looking for this balance between having a stable base and also a sense of upward movement, a kind of flow through the spine. Ideally the spine supporting itself, but if you have back trouble or that's not possible where you are, then don't worry about it. As long as we're as upright as we can be and as comfortable as we can be, and having both those things sort of in balance. Another minute. Fortunately, the truck that was outside is now gone, so we've been left in a little bit more peace. Although it can be interesting to work with noises like that, and it's different running a class. Sometimes I think the person running the class is probably more worried about noise than anyone who's actually coming to it, because there's this sense that it's imposing on the experience of the people that they're having that you're trying to give. But when I'm meditating myself, it's much easier to let go of some of the reactions to distracting noise that's around. And once you, I think when I'm able to recognize that my irritation towards the noise is more distracting than the noise itself, that really diffuses a lot of the energy that's in it. So I'm not sure where you're meditating. Please feel free to let me know in the chat who I've got if you feel like it, and perhaps also where you're meditating. If you like, maybe you're at home or you're at work or something like that on a lunch break. Where are we? I think we're going to get started. So we'll get started now. So welcome to the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. My name is Gareth, and you've found the drop-in meditation session today. So we do a few of these sessions a week. We've got one this afternoon at 7:30, and then another one on Friday at lunchtime. And today we are doing the cultivation of loving kindness meditation. It's all about developing positive sort of emotional responses, both towards ourselves and to others, and in a way trying to attune emotions to the reality of what the world is actually like, when we can set aside or diffuse some of our tendency towards making ourselves the center of things. It's a really important aspect of Buddhist thinking that compassion, kindness, love is a reflection on an emotional level, or is a manifestation emotionally of wisdom. Kindness is the wisest response to the world that we can have, which is quite a profound quite a profound idea. That it's not just a nice thing to do, and although it is nice and it feels nice as well, when we're very sort of feel that sense of warmth towards people. But it's also true as well. It's closer to reality to feel that sense of interest in others. So that's part of the reason why this meditation is so important. We're going to be going into it in a particular way today. So we're going to be doing it in 5 stages. In the first 2 stages, we're going to use sorry, what am I saying? So 5 stages. In the first stage, we are cultivating kindness towards ourselves, calling ourselves to mind, wishing ourselves well. The second stage, we're calling a good friend to mind, wishing them well. Third stage, calling up a neutral person. So that's someone that we don't have strong feelings about one way or the other. And then in the fourth stage, a difficult person, someone that we find awkward or uncomfortable. You can work with really quite difficult people, but to begin with, perhaps just someone that you find a little annoying or awkward to be around. And then the 5th stage, we are bringing together everyone we've already thought about, and then allowing whatever momentum of well-wishing we've been able to contact to just flow outwards from us to the rest of the world. So that's a brief overview of the stages. I'll be guiding us through, so you don't need to remember any of that. The sort of focus, the theme for today's session is the 4th stage, the difficult person stage. So in previous weeks, which you can find on our YouTube channel, I've been through using the body as a way into compassion for ourselves, what it means to be a good friend, how we can spot good friends and perhaps become better friends ourselves. The 3rd stage we've covered in thinking about the neutral person. That was a couple of weeks ago. And this time, looking at the 4th stage, the difficult person. So, there's some general sort of advice that we can give. As I've already mentioned, it might be good to choose someone that you don't find really difficult to work with if you're new to the practice. But in time, we can work with those people. Perhaps we need to introduce them quite gradually, quite calmly. So perhaps we're not immediately trying to force strong feelings that aren't really there. Just sort of having, it's enough to begin with, perhaps just to hold that person in our mind and notice our reactions, and try not to get caught up in them in quite the same way that we normally do. It's very easy when we think about someone we don't like to remember all of the ways that we disapprove of them, or that they do things wrong, or have been unkind to us or to people we care about, and sort of justify our feelings of resentment towards that person. And as far as those, on a certain level, that you may not be entirely wrong. Like perhaps the things that they have done have caused harm to you or others, but in a way, that's we don't need to worry about that in a way. The issue with approaching people solely from that direction is that we reduce what they are to just their worst qualities. In a way, we make them just into the object of our frustration, rather than seeing them as another human being. Perhaps a very flawed and difficult human being, for not just you, but for many other people even, but a person nonetheless, which means that they have many dimensions. They are acting out of a desire to be happy, to avoid suffering, even if they go about that in ways which we don't think are very wise. So just on that level, we're trying to give ourselves enough space from our reactions to them to try and see a bit more clearly what's really going on. And there are real practical benefits for that. One thing that can be really important to notice, I think, in this stage is that we often use anger and resentment as a way to keep ourselves safe, or we imagine that we will be safe by nurturing those feelings, that if we are hostile to someone, and that they won't be able to take advantage of us. That is not necessarily the case. That doesn't actually match up with what I notice anyway. I think the only really safe way to make sure that we are not taken advantage of, that we are treated well, is by being able to see a situation as clearly as possible, understanding why people are doing what they're doing, and and in a way that's much easier to do from a perspective of kindness than it is from one of resentment. It's very easy to become caught up in cycles of mutual hostility with someone, which actually don't do us any good and don't do them any good either. And it's not that we are looking to suppress or deny the difficult emotions that we might be feeling. Again, they may, on a certain level, even be perfectly understandable. But it's not allowing ourselves to be entirely defined by them either, as much as we're trying to see more broadly this other person. Also, wanting to keep our breadth, our footing somehow, or not get totally tunnel vision about this person's negative qualities. And that has the advantage of meaning that we can deal with them much more calmly, much more effectively, if there is something that needs to be dealt with. And if not, then we have freed up a part of our own minds. I don't think there's nothing worse in a way than having people in your mind that you do not want to think about, that it is hard even to have them wander through your head. There's a kind of loss of freedom within ourselves when we're really strongly polarized against someone. So there's a gain in just our own personal freedom in being able to cultivate more compassion, more kind of even, equanimous response, even when it's with difficult people. So those are some of the benefits in terms of practical ways. As I've said, don't try and force anything necessarily. Just give yourself that space, even if you're just leaving them there in the doorway of your imagination, as it were. That might be enough, just to try and start to break down a habitual response to them. That can be quite a powerful beginning in itself. Another really good tip I've found is staying in touch with what's going on in your body. So when those thoughts come up about what they've done or who they are or who knows what it is, noticing the tension that comes up in the body just in reaction to that. And if we can use the sort of the breath, perhaps just as we breathe out, letting go of some of that tension, sometimes that might have noticed that being able to have them in your mind and gradually relaxing the body actually takes out quite a lot of the heat from thinking about them. So those are a couple of things to work with. I think we will go straight into it after that. If you do have any questions, I'll be around for a little bit after this, and you can just pop them in the chat. I won't be able to do the Zoom call, which I've done in the last couple of weeks. I can't do that today for various reasons, but I will be around for the live chat if you want to do it that way. But now, if you want to sort of settle yourself into meditation posture, if you're not already in it, and just getting ourselves physically ready to meditate. So resting your hands. Getting that sense of grounding, rooting down, and also flowing upwards. As part of that process, we're going to move through a brief body scan. Bringing awareness to the head. And wherever we notice tension, seeing if we can allow that to ease and fade as we breathe out. Just taking a few moments, a few breaths. Softening as much as we can before we move on. Coming down to the neck and the shoulders, and doing the same there. Really letting those shoulders come down. And down the arms, to the hands. And the chest and the upper back. Noticing the movement of the breath. Following that down into the belly. And then the groin and the pelvis. Feeling your contact with your chair, your stool, your cushion, wherever it is you happen to be sitting. Down to the legs. All the way down to the feet. And coming back to a broad awareness of the entire body. Taking note of any changes. Then we're going to move into the loving kindness meditation. So in the first stage, just calling ourselves to mind, wishing ourselves well. Trying to set the foundation for the rest of the stages. And more simply and straightforwardly, we can connect with well-wishing for ourselves. The more we'll be able to identify with the well-wishing of others. Each time we notice we've wandered off, calmly coming back to the meditation, back to ourselves. And whether we're picturing ourselves, trying to view ourselves with kindly eyes, or just feeling the sensitivity of our own bodies. Using a phrase, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be free from suffering. Just returning to that. Moving into the second stage, calling to mind a good friend, someone that we would just be pleased to see, and wishing them well. However we're calling them to mind, whether we are picturing them going about their life, imagining them close to us, extending some sort of light from our heart towards theirs, if you prefer to think in images. Just coming back to that, and back to the intention to wish them well, each time we find we've wandered. Moving into the third stage, calling to mind a neutral person. So that's someone we don't have strong feelings about, one way or the other. Just someone we can call to mind clearly enough. Someone at the local shop, a co-worker, a neighbour. Wishing them well as well. They too are out there living their lives, trying to avoid what is difficult and move towards what brings them satisfaction. May they be happy, may they be well, may they be free from suffering. Moving on once more into the fourth stage, the difficult person. Noticing our reaction just to start with, even to the idea of wishing this person well. Really feeling that in the body if we can, the new pattern of tension that's emerged. And again, we're not trying to force any emotions. The establishing a renewal of the intention to wish another well is the strongest part of this practice. Even if we are just bringing this person into our minds, making some effort not to follow our habitual stories about them. That is a movement towards kindness, towards compassion, towards seeing clearly. Coming back each time we wander off. Not judging ourselves too harshly if we find this stage challenging, or if we find any of the stages challenging. Moving into the final stage, calling to mind ourselves, the good friend, the neutral person, and the difficult person. Having a sense of us all together, whether that means placing each of us in the same space, feeling a sense of physical closeness, however you wish to do it. feeling the different responses and moving towards more of a feeling towards what we have in common. A shared desire for security, for pleasure, for the absence of pain. May we all be well. May we all be happy. May we all be free from suffering. And from there, allowing any well-wishing we've cultivated, that compassionate awareness, to extend outwards, taking in more and more of the world, more and more of the beings we know to exist. May they too be happy and free from suffering. Tuning in more and more to the desires inherent in life, towards fulfillment, growth, and relief. And gradually letting that go, coming back to that broad awareness of the body, knowing anything that's changed. Taking a few final moments just to sit without any intention. One of the fruits of this practice is a greater contentness with ourselves, a greater capacity just to be in our own presence without needing to add or take away anything in particular. Perhaps that's not your experience now. It's good to take the space to savor it if it is there. And then in your own time, you can start to draw the meditation to a close, opening your eyes whenever you're ready. Okay, well, if you've been meditating with me, please go into the rest of your day quite gently if you have the option to. Yeah, I will be here for a little while longer. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat and I'll do my best to reply. If you're watching this later and anything comes up that you'd like to ask us about, either about meditation or what the centre's offering, then please just drop us an email at info@nottinghambuddhistcentre.org. You can find it on our website. Yeah, so just sort of remains to me to say a couple final things. So yes, we will be back tonight at 7:30, and then that should be with Rich, and then we'll be back on Friday as well. Yeah, and if you are able to support us, that would be wonderful. We're moving more towards being well, we're still planning how we can open, but yeah, we're still completely dependent on the generosity of people like yourselves watching what we're doing, and yeah, hopefully getting something from it. So if you do want to support us, it's very much needed. We're yeah, I think we're a little bit short of where we ought to be in our target this month. We have to meet about £1,500 every month to sort of get back to the level of donations we were getting before, and that's just to kind of meet the need to sort of sustain the centre, and but mainly really to support the people who work here and yeah, you put on all of our classes and things. Yeah, so if you want to support our work and what we are putting out into the world, then please be generous if you're able to, and you can find the link for that in the description of this video. Yeah, it's also wonderful if you're coming to this regularly to take out a regular donation, standing order, or I think there's an option to do recurring donations on that page, and that's amazing for us because we can then plan ahead and we know what we're getting. Yeah, it makes a massive difference. Wonderfully, this sort of yeah, we've received a lot of generosity over the lockdown period, and I think as things are starting to ease up now, it's sort of perhaps not quite so obvious that it doesn't feel as urgent anymore, but actually the need is exactly the same. Yeah, there was still no one able to come in, so we're still completely dependent on generosity. Yeah, people online. So yeah, if you can, please do. If not, then please just avail yourself of what we're able to offer. Yeah, that's ultimately what it's for. I hope it is of some use to you. I certainly find it very just very nourishing actually to be able to sit here and talk to you about kindness and wishing all beings well, and yeah, knowing that there are people on the far side of this screen somewhere making that same intention, putting that positive receptive state of mind out into the world, and these things are obviously not easily measured, but I know that makes a difference. I feel it even just in my own person somehow. Yeah, so yeah, I find it deeply moving knowing that you're also doing the same. So please take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. And yeah, thank you very much. So whilst this is the end of the session, I will be on here a few more minutes. If you have any questions, pop them in the live chat and I'll do my best to reply. Hoping the audio was okay. Had some problems with that last time. Yeah, it seems to be alright. So I'm aware that there's probably a couple of you still watching, but no one's asking any questions. But yeah, hope you're okay on the far side. Yeah, as I said before, you can always drop them in an email if you want to. Yeah, and we'll get back to you, or on social media. Yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram if you prefer to contact us that way. Yeah, I'll give it one more minute. Okay, well, we'll call it an end there. So yeah, take care again, and goodbye again if you've stayed with the till the end of this. See you soon.